The summer season of anime this year wasn't quite as eventful for me as the previous. I mean, considering I was following this many shows from spring, yeah, it's kinda hard to compete with that, but there was some series that I ended up following. Jujutsu Kaisen came back with a second season that's been great so far. One of my favorite arcs in the series got adapted, as well as Shibuya. Horimiya returned with episodes on a bunch of chapters we never got animated originally, which has been really fun to watch. Horimiya is a very comfy show to sit back and enjoy, and I'm glad to have more of it. Besides that, there wasn't really anything else that grabbed my interest this season. Maybe I'll watch more than 2 episodes of Zom 100, but if y'all think there was anything else worth watching, then feel free to comment about it. For the record, I have no interest in watching Mushoku Tensei. There was, however, one show that caught me by surprise this season, a show that I decided to watch on an absolute whim when the first episode released on Netflix, but it ended up as my favorite anime of the season, and a series that I'm now incredibly attached to. That series is of course the title of this video. I mean, just look at the title. The anime is an adaptation of a light novel written by Akemi Akitogi. Alongside this is a manga adaptation with 4 volumes that have been released yearly so far. Like I said before, I really just stumbled upon this series. I saw a few tweets about the first episode and became somewhat interested. You gotta understand, at the time I only had 2 anime to follow, and I know that sounds like it would be enough, but I missed having new episodes to look forward to 5 days a week in spring. I was very spoiled. I can still see the messages I put when I was watching the first episode. All I know about the series is that it was set in an older era of Japan, and there was a marriage. But once it's sunk in what genre this series is, and what kind of story it's telling, I immediately realized, oh wait, I think I love this. With the anime currently wrapped up, and as I pray for a second season to happen, I'm here to spill my thoughts on what makes this show so worthwhile, and what makes it so special. This is why you should watch My Happy Marriage. If I were to quickly describe this show to you, it is a supernatural romance story in a version of Meiji Restoration era Japan where cursed spirits are real and people have psychic powers. I came into this show expecting nothing more than a romance drama, but yeah, there's a lot more going on here. Before that though, let's start from the beginning. Mio Saimori is the eldest daughter of the Saimori household. Her mother passed away while she was still at a young age, and ever since has lived a life of servitude under her abusive stepmother and stepsister, with a father that allows all this to happen with no care. When the 2 daughters were tested to see if either of them had supernatural abilities, it was discovered that while her sister, Kaya, had the gift of spirit sight, Mio herself was born without a trace of spiritual power, which became a major reason she is seen as worthless by the family. When Mio becomes of age to be married, she gets informed that her closest friend Koji is getting married to her stepsister, and that she's being sent to Kyoko Kudo, the commander of a unit specialized in fighting off demonic ghosts known as grotesqueries, and a man said to be absolutely cold and ruthless, with all his previous fiancés quickly leaving him. When she actually meets him, however, it seems like he may not exactly be the kind of person people have referred to him as. As Mio comes to grip with her new life, mysteries about the true nature of her abilities start to reveal themselves, as it's revealed that her mother was part of the seclusive but supposedly very powerful Usoba family, leading to many of the conflicts the show centers around. If you went into the show expecting a simple slice of life romance, man, you were in for a treat once it sinks in that psychic powers and spirits are a part of this series. This season adapts material from the first 2 volumes of the light novels. You can consider there to be 2 different arcs within this series, the first one focusing on the marriage politics, while the second arc delves further into the supernatural side. Both are very captivating to watch as the twists and turns unfold, but one of the immediate aspects of the show that stood out to me were its visuals. This show from top to bottom is utterly gorgeous, from the excellent character designs and delicate line work, the shading and lighting which adds a certain beauty to every character. Heck, the lighting in general is utterly beautiful and brings every scene to life. The soft color palette, the attention put into all the backgrounds and interior designs of locations, the engaging cinematography and directing. This is overall just a really pleasant show to simply watch. The animation itself, and by that I refer to the actual definition of the frame-by-frame movement, isn't really anything mind-blowing. The character acting does a good job conveying what they are like, movements are never too exaggerated either, and I'd say overall the animation is pretty well done. When the show wants to pull off an impressive shot, it does so splendidly. If you want a perfect showcase of the kind of visuals this show has, the opening does a fantastic job expressing all of that. It's always hard for me to watch this OP and not go, man, this show is really pretty. The ED is my favorite of the season too. The visuals are a marvel, and the song backing it makes for an ending that I rewatch constantly. Beyond all that though, What got me so enriched is the narrative that this show has been telling. I've already described some basic plot points, but at its core, this is a story about healing and growing, specifically with our protagonist Mio. The life she lived under her original family left her broken. The years of abuse she faced has whittled her down into this quiet and meek girl we see at the beginning of the show. We see for ourselves the one time she tried standing up for herself, and it went horribly wrong. Even as she finds herself in a new house and family, she can't help but be chained down to all the trauma that she experienced. A great highlight of this is how the first thing that her husband-to-be tells her is that she must follow all his orders, including to die if he says so, and she accepts without a second thought, completely catching him off guard that she would agree so directly after hearing this. He's actually a very sweet man for the record, but we'll get back to him. She apologizes like it's second nature, tries to never be a bother to anyone, has a hard time accepting gifts, tears up at the first instance in years of ever receiving honest praise, even believes that her not having any supernatural abilities would make Kudo resent her if he ever found out, which ends up being furthest from the truth. There's many little moments with Mio's character to paint a believable picture of this greatly damaged person. The voice acting for Mio does an amazing job bringing her character to life. Her voice is quiet and delicate. When raising her voice, she still sounds no louder than the average volume. With all that said, the show was not presenting us with this character to simply make us pity her. Even with all the hardships she's endured, she's an incredibly kind and compassionate person. She's honest to a near fault and puts everyone else before her. The last part can end up turning into a flaw at points, but that's mainly due to her own lack of self-worth. It's through this story, however, that we get to see her grow bit by bit into a more complete individual, who's capable of expressing emotion, in no small part thanks to the man himself, Kyoko Kudo. When we first see Kudo, he seems to be about as cold as the rumors say. We've already gone over his first orders to Mio, but he also accuses the food she made of being poisoned, and while it turns out to not have been a serious accusation, it highlights his initial distrust of her. We quickly learn that this is because most of his previous fiancés were only after the wealth and status that would come from marrying him, so we expected that Mio would be no different. It's important to keep in mind that initially, he knows nothing about how Mio was treated in the Saimori household. He simply assumed this would be another bride with shallow desires. But it doesn't take long for him to notice how strange her behaviors are for someone that's part of a prominent family. He's quickly able to connect all the dots about the kind of life she lived, and immediately does all that he can to help her out. One of the first instances of this being when he confronts her previous family and declares that he plans to give them no benefits from their marriage, with only a dowry if they give a sincere apology to Mio face to face. It's a scene that's absolutely satisfying to watch, as Mio's parents are unable to argue against the clear conviction in Kudo's words. This is one of the best showcases of the kind of man Kudo is. He can be cold and ruthless indeed, but he has a heart of gold that would do anything for those that he loves. He's not a perfect person either. His image of himself is that of a dull and troublesome man, and he doesn't always have the right thing to say, or always knows what to do in the moment. He has weak spots like any of us, which is important in humanizing him as more than just a Prince Charming to Mio's Cinderella. There's a number of characters that completely ignore the intimidating aura he carries, such as his co-worker Godo and later his sister Hazuki. With Godo, my man is just utterly sick of him, but he puts up with him because he knows he does good work. And for his sister, well, there's not much he could do there since she's the older sibling and she knows how to get him to listen. Moments throughout allow for him to express a more shy side to his character, which makes for some really sweet scenes, such as when he became flustered from saying out loud that Mio looked beautiful, or when he was listening in and following along to Mio's lessons with his sister. Despite the focus on drama, My Happy Marriage still knows how to have some more playful scenes that balance out the tone, and allow for more charming moments between characters that I greatly appreciated. What's important about how Kudo helps Mio is that despite all that he does for her, it still comes down to Mio herself to grow stronger and gain more confidence. It never feels like Kudo is upstaging her as the protagonist. A number of hurdles still remain for Mio as she moves into a new house, and one of them was her younger sister Kaya. She was the one that was always loved by the family. She was raised to believe that she is factually superior to her sister in every way, and lived an extremely spoiled life on top of that. This is why when she sees that Mio is now living a happier life with a beautiful fiancé, she believes that this is some mistake that must be corrected. She doesn't view any of the actions she proceeds to make as awful or wrong because of how much her parents ingrained in her brain that she was special in comparison to her sister. It is very easy to hate her, and I definitely wouldn't call her a good person, but it's very clear to see how she ended up the way she did, and the scars that she left in Mio linger on even after she leaves her life. She's contrasted well with Koji Tatsuishi, the friend of Mio who ended up as Kaya's fiance. He cares a lot about Mio and even had romantic feelings for her, but he was never able to pursue that. While he liked Mio and wasn't awful to her like her sister, he still wouldn't have been the right partner for her. He didn't have the same strength or conviction to help Mio out in the same way as Kudo. It's also a nice touch that while Koji liked Mio romantically, Mio never liked him in that way, and a later statement by the author explained that this was because her life under the Saimori household was so rough that she didn't have the emotional capacity to think about love, and my heart, it can only take so much pain after hearing that, so I need to step out and think about that. The supernatural elements in this show add an extra spice to what would otherwise be a historical fiction romance drama. I know I said a lot of terms there, whatever. While Mio is seemingly lacking powers throughout most of the series, Kudo is one of the greatest gift users of the generation, and you witness on numerous occasions how powerful he really is. It can be very exciting to watch, but the show doesn't really have a major emphasis on action. Don't expect any sort of shonen-esque battle systems or anything like that, but with that said, the duel in episode 10 is an excellent fight that expresses how both characters work very well. It's one of the highlight moments of the series. Scenes like this definitely ramp up more in the second arc, as battles against the grotesqueries get more spotlight. Watching all this play out was very fascinating to me. I've seen series about psychic powers and fighting cursed spirits, but I haven't quite seen it written in a story where romance and drama are the main focus. Usually I expect the wow factor of those larger than life aspects to be very in your face, but that's not quite the case here. I've seen people start watching this series and they get completely off guard when they learn that psychic powers are a thing in episode 2. I believe this plays into how My Happy Marriage tackles its narrative, and it does so in a well done way. It's a very engaging time that will have you immersed in this world and characters with moments worth remembering. For the last segment of this video, I want to go over a scene that is emblematic of what makes My Happy Marriage so meaningful. But this also requires spoiling some key events in the story, so if you don't want that, you can skip to this time in the video, or also just leave the video and watch it for yourself. Are we all good on that? Yeah, I did this last time, and okay, let's get on with it. Okay, yeah. During the halfway point of the season, Mio ends up getting kidnapped and held hostage by Koji's father, as well as Kaya and her stepmother. Their goal is to force Mio to give up on her marriage with Kudo, so that he could be married to Kaya instead, while Mio would be married to the Tatsuishi family. This is what the head of the family wants in order to have an Usopp under their wing that could potentially give birth to a powerful offspring. Mio is not seen as a person in this situation, she's just seen as a means for obtaining this special power she supposedly has from her bloodline. Her sister and stepmother completely belittle and degrade her, as she's hung up by rope tied around her hands. She gets both physically and emotionally abused while she's in a weakened state, and it reaches a point where they just start strangling her in a vain attempt for her to surrender. They expect her to immediately give in and say she'll reject Kudo's marriage, and if this was Mio at the beginning of the series, she absolutely would. She was a girl lacking in desires and emotion, a life devoid of any love which left her a husk. But this isn't the same girl anymore. She's learned that there's a place she can belong, a place where she is wanted, and even as she has the life strangled out of her, she doesn't give up. She holds out until her husband-to-be finally arrives for her in this incredibly heartfelt reunion. Mio Saimori is an amazing character. She's someone who closed her heart off from the world in order to survive the hell that each day would bring, and while it kept her going, it also prevented her from ever pursuing love for herself or understanding that she is even deserving of it. After enough heartbreak, it can feel easier to just give up on everything and seclude your emotions away. As long as they don't get hurt and can deal with whatever life throws at you, everything will be fine, right? But My Happy Marriage is here to say that while it may be scary, it is okay to want to love. It's okay to want to be close to others. It's okay to want to be somewhere to belong and be more than what you previously were. The pain of what came before may not suddenly vanish, but step by step, your life can change. You can become something you never believed yourself to be, all thanks to the people that you allow in your life and the efforts you made to reach them. And you know what? I think that's a really nice story to tell. I think that's why you should watch My Happy Marriage. Well, that seems like a good place to call it for this video. If you enjoyed your time, feel free to subscribe, comment, like, all that kind of junk. This one was a video I've been looking forward to making for quite a while, I remember watching the series first and thinking oh, I'm probably gonna end up making a video on it, but now there's also another series that I also want to make a video on, and it's there's too many things, my brain is all scrambled. Okay, start for wasting your time, okay, well, what do I say? Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day. Yeah, that's my line.